What's good? Welcome into Titans Today. I'm Abby Alonzo. We're going to go over mock draft today, maybe a little bit of Hendon Hooker news, but first, I want to shout out Hefty Lefty for going ahead and breaking that comment record. We told y'all whoever commented the most on the last Titans Today video would get a shout out. Hefty Lefty, you did it, commenting 54 times. He now holds the record for Titans Today comment challenge. If you want to break it, go ahead, be my guest. But Hefty Lefty, you are the commenter MVP. Thank you. Alrighty, Jordan Schultz came in with this news right before we filmed. We were going to go over the whole mock draft, Todd McShay's new mock draft, but I do want to throw this out there because Hendon Hooker news is on the rise. Jordan Schultz tweeted this saying, Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker has a top 30 visit with the Titans tomorrow, Wednesday, April 5th, source tells The Score. Hooker won SEC Offensive Player of the Year after compiling a stellar 27-2 touchdown interception ratio for the Vols. He also rushed for 5 touchdowns this season. Hendon Hooker in Tennessee? There are a lot of quarterback questions that have been ramping up. We've heard about the Titans trading up for maybe a quarterback. Now we're hearing that Hendon Hooker is on the radar. He's meeting with them tomorrow. It'll be interesting. We don't have any other updates yet, but don't worry. We will keep you in the loop as long as you hit that sub button. Speaking of hitting the sub button, I have a challenge for you guys. We are currently at 6,537 subs. We are trying to get to 7,000 subscribers before the draft. That is April 27th. We have 23 days left, and we need 463 subscribers. I have no doubt in my mind that we can do this. I want to prove it to everybody else in the office that Titans Today is not playing around. So go ahead, hit that sub button. You might as well, because we'll keep you updated with all the Hendon Hooker news on top of it. Alrighty, the original plan was to go over ESPN Todd McShay's new mock draft, 2-round mock draft actually, and that is exactly what we are going to get into. Like I said, 2 rounds, not 1, but 2, and this is how he started it off. Round 1 looks a little bit like this. No surprise, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, right off the board immediately. That is pretty much what seems to be the common theme throughout all of these mock drafts. Those 2 guys look like they'll go off the board right away. Then you have the Colts trading. They are leaving no room for question. They are going to get a quarterback with Anthony Richardson and Will Anderson to Arizona, Jalen Carter to the Seahawks. I know there's a lot of questions about what will happen to his draft stock after everything that happened maybe a month ago. Apparently, McShay believes he's still going to Seattle. Tyree Wilson to Detroit. Devon Witherspoon to the Raiders. Christian Gonzalez to the Falcons. Peter Skoronski to the Bears. We've talked about him landing in Tennessee. In this mock draft, he will be in Chicago. And then Lucas Van Ness, who is a name we haven't seen too often in the top 10 picks, but he will be headed to Philadelphia in this one. And of course, drum roll, please. Who do the Tennessee Titans have in McShay's mock draft? At 11, they grab Jaxon Smith-Njigba, a wide receiver, which is a bold move to go after a receiver for the second year in a row. You just grabbed Treylon Burks. But it's necessary, and this is why Todd McShay says it's not often a team uses a top 20 pick on a wide receiver in back-to-back years. In fact, you need to go back to 03-05 for the last time when the Lions actually did it 3 times in a row. But there's no arguing that Tennessee needs playmakers even after selecting Treylon Burks last year. The Titans' top 4 wideouts combined for 1,446 yards and 6 touchdowns last season. A.J. Brown, whom Tennessee traded away, surpassed those numbers on his own. Wow, that's really sad. Smith-Njigba barely played in 2022, but he's just 1 year removed from cracking 1,600 receiving yards. He's such a good route runner, creating separation with high-end acceleration out of his breaks and hauling in passes with soft hands. He'd be an immediate favorite for quarterback Ryan Tannehill. Speaking of Tannehill, I wouldn't rule out Tennessee drafting Levis as the future franchise signal caller, especially since Malik Willis struggled in his rookie year, and I think Ohio State offensive tackle Paris Johnson Jr. could make a lot of sense too. Okay, lots to break down there. Side note, I do want to address the statement about Will Levis, like I said before getting into this mock draft, the quarterback questions are everywhere. Whether the Titans decide to trade up to try to grab CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, I don't know how that happens, even if you do trade up to number 3, just because, like I said, those guys are probably going off the board at 1 or 2. But if they decide to trade up, going after one of those, or they wait back, hang back a little bit, trying to grab Anthony Richardson or Will Levis, the quarterback questions are relevant. I know people keep throwing it off to the side saying, Tennessee's going to wait. They're going to ride it out with Ryan Tannehill. Do not underestimate Rand Carthon. It looks like he could be a little bit sneaky and maybe go after a quarterback in this draft. I wouldn't put it out of the question quite yet. Before we continue with a little bit more analysis on Jaxon Smith-Njigba, let me tell you about Fanatics. You guys know where I stand on these hats. I think they are dope. They are the official draft hats of the Tennessee Titans. These guys will be putting on these caps. You can put them on too. Just head to chatsports.com/Titans draft hats. I wish I had one. I had to slick back my hair today. It was a bad hair day. If I had one of these hats, it would be on my head. I might have to go get one. Chatsports.com/Titans draft hats. Get you some gear. Jaxon Smith-Njigba, great receiver. Small concerns. He did miss a lot of the 2022 season because of an injury. It was a soft tissue injury, which, again, we know where Mike Vrabel stands on those. It's a little bit of a red flag for him because he believes it's due to lack of preparation by a player if they have a soft tissue injury. I don't think it is that serious. It kept him out a lot of 2022, but I think he's on the right trend to come back. He's also mainly a slot receiver, which Tennessee, or Tim Kelly, let me say, doesn't really use as much. You also have Kyle Phillips on the roster, who is a slot receiver. But the good thing about Jaxon Smith-Njigba is that he is versatile. He can play inside, outside. He's very good at being what you need. 1,600 yards, 16.9 average yards per catch, 9 touchdowns, a long of 75. Record year in 2021. Unfortunately, just had that injury. But again, I think he's on the right trend. I think he'll be okay. Mike Vrabel on his interest in JSN. Of course, I think we're looking for guys who can get open and catch the ball and that can do things after and create separation. Absolutely. And he said what impressed him about JSN, well, I think the ability to work inside, and he's got some ability to work outside. So it's early on in the evaluation process, he told the reporter. But those are things that he does see in JSN that stick out to him and they impress him. His ability to work inside, outside, do stuff after the catch. Looks like he would fit. Wide receiver is a serious need right now. That is no surprise. I think he could fit the bill. I think he would work well with Treylon Burks should the Titans draft him. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Head down to that comment section and let me know what you think about the Titans drafting Jaxon Smith-Njigba with that 11 overall pick. His next pick with that number 41 in the second round, McShay has Drew Sanders, linebacker from Arkansas, headed to the Titans, and here's why. Todd McShay said, our first inside linebacker is finally off the board. Tennessee signed Azeez Al-Shaair to replace David Long Jr., but Sanders does a little bit of everything. He had 111 tackles, 9.5 sacks, 16 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, 10 run stops, and an interception last season. His versatility, instincts, and burst would be welcomed on a defense that gave up 5.4 yards per play last season, which was, of course, 19th in the league. Looking at his 2022 stats, they rack up 103 tackles, 13.5 tackles for loss. Again, 9.5 sacks, 5-1 passes broken up, 2 interceptions, and, of course, 3 forced fumbles. Good stats. Good guy. I'm not saying he's not a good linebacker. I think this is a good move. Is it the right move? They did a lot of work to the defense in free agency, which is great. Yeah, you still have a few things you might want to tighten up. But man, I don't know that the receiver room or the O-line are in tip-top shape enough that you go grab somebody else for the defense at number 41. Again, Not knocking this kid. I think those stats, the way he plays, Drew Sanders, great linebacker. I'm a little bit skeptical on whether that's the route you want to go. You also need a tight end. You've got Chig, but you need some depth there. So is this the right route for the 41st pick in the second round? Do you want to grab a linebacker, or maybe do you want to look at some other needs on the roster to grab in the second round and push off that linebacker need for later in the draft? What position would you draft at number 41? If you're the GM, you're Rand Carthon, you got to make a decision. What position are you drafting in the second round? Let me know in the comment section. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe. We will keep you updated on the Hendon Hooker news. Again, he meets with the Titans tomorrow. We will have an update for you tomorrow. Stay golden. We'll see y'all soon.